Hello, hello, hello. Marietta here, back with another video. There's a topic that I want to talk about this evening. Oh, and happy Sunday to everybody. I pray that you had a wonderful day today. But there's a topic that I want to talk about that I do not hear many people talking about across these airways, and I want to talk to our youth, mainly those that are 18 years old that are being told that you're grown now and it's time for you to leave the house, or maybe you're in a situation where you're just out there in the street and you have nowhere to go and you have been searching high and low for what to do and how to create an income. And I'm not talking to somebody who just is living on your friend's couch, this, that, and other thing. There are truly some 18-year-olds that are being put out there in the street that don't have nowhere to go because of the fact that they have been told several times that you're 18 and you're grown. And then one young lady had asked me before, F and so you're 18 and you have to leave your parents' house. Are you eligible to apply for food stamps and be homeless? And then in the case of where do I get my mail? How do I get my mail from homeless? If I'm 18 and I'm homeless, do I qualify? Do I have to go through my parents in order to be able to receive public assistance or be able to receive food stamps or be able to apply for housing or whatever it is that you need? Now, in this economy, things are weird. Things are being taken away and things are being shut down and money is being moved strange, even in the system right now, where people are not, where the government is not trying to foot the bill of these families that are putting your 18-year-olds out in the street. Well, your 18-year-old is grown. Your 18-year-old, you should have taught your 18-year-old as they were coming up in the house how to stand on their own 2 feet. And then there are situations where the house is just purely unbearable and the 18-year-olds may have to just leave the house in order to keep their own sanity or to be able to even protect themselves from the dangers of what may be going on in the house. These are a lot of things. We're just having a conversation. So y'all type it in the comments, F and so you have an 18-year-old that you feel as though because they're 18-year-old, they should be able to stand on their own 2 feet and you think that they're grown and they should leave your house. Type it in the comments. I'm just having a simple conversation because I do talk to a lot of youth, because that is the field of what I participate in, where it comes to talking to the youth and how they're feeling and where they're living. And I gravitate towards taking care of other people's children, have been doing it for years. So therefore I have a lot of input in this situation where I have seen 18-year-olds that have been tossed to the street just because they turned 18. They did nothing wrong. But yet it's like taking a bird and just throwing it out the nest and you expect that bird to be able to fly. And this is exactly what we're doing to our youth when we just throw them out of the house at 18 years old, when we know they don't have a job. We know they're not able to work. We know they don't make enough income. And if they didn't make enough income then, they surely don't make enough income now. But the question I was asked by a couple 18-year-olds was, F and so we have to leave. F and so we're out here in the street. And I know some of y'all wonder why I say F and so. That's just a figure of speech. If you meet an 18-year-old that's out there on the street and they are suffering, they're all going through and they're sleeping on the street, yes, they can go and apply for SNAP. They can go and apply for SNAP benefits, from my understanding. Type it in the comment if you know something different. From my understanding, my level of understanding, they can go apply for SNAP benefits. They can also go to the shelter. They do not need their parents' permission to be able to go apply for these things. If and so they do not have an address, they can use the Division of Social Service address in their area where they'll be able to pick their mail up there or get their food stamps there whenever they're being issued. Now, if that has changed, that's the way it was back then. I don't know right now, but if you know of anything different, please type it in the comments. Let's help these young people that are out here on the streets for no fault of their own. Some of them had apartments and now they've lost their apartment. They don't have nobody to team up with. They're out there in the streets. They're cold. They're hungry. They're looking for somewhere to go. They're looking for somewhere to make it. I also told them to seek their local churches in their area. Try to seek family members. Try to see if you can partner up with other friends or family to see if sometimes you can find a place to stay. But a lot of times people are more or less afraid of letting these younger people into their homes because of the fact that, they are young, they live in their best life, they get wild, they get a little crazy sometimes. But yet and still, if you give them a chance to talk, they would tell you exactly what it is they need and what they need from you to be able to help them. But as far as the question at hand is, can they apply for food stamps? Can they apply for housing? Are they able to do these things without their parents' consent? I would say yes. Because at 18, here in America, they consider them as grown. They may even consider them grown at 17. But I know at 18, they truly consider them grown here. And just because they're 18, they're not grown. They're not grown. God knows they're not grown. And I know some of y'all might say, well, Miss Coleman, you can't be enabling these young adults because at 18, they should be grown. But yes, and still, at 18, we don't know what their upbringing was like. We don't know exactly how their parents raised them, or if they were even raised with two parents, or raised with the stability and the love and the as you say, for them to be able to stand on their own feet. They may not have been raised with those characteristics, and put it that way, that they may not be able to do what they need to do as adults, or the responsibility. They may not have been taught that responsibility. You know, some cultures teach their kids at very early age. And then, yes, you know your kid. You know if your kid is able to be out there and stand. Now, I can actually say, I left home when I was 16 years old, but I was a whole new breed at that time. I was very responsible. My mother taught us to be responsible. She taught us how to work. She taught us how to make an honest living. She taught us to be respectful. She carried us to church. She put a lot of good values within us. Now, sometimes you got to look at some of the children that are out here that you see out on the street. If you know anything about homeless children, as somebody who has rescued homeless children from the street several times, I've fed them, I've talked to them, I listened at their story. I've gotten some understanding of why they're out there in the street. I mean, sometimes it was things that they did, and sometimes it was no fault of their own. Sometimes the house was just too bearable for them to stay. There was too much violence going on, too much domestic stuff happening that they just could not tolerate. There's a lot of reasons why our 18-year-olds, and I'm talking 18 years old from sometimes 16, 17-year-old, but actually an 18-year-old should be able to apply for assistance for themselves. They should be able to apply for help on their own. But being homeless out there at that age is very dangerous, because they do not have the resources they need to be able to live on the street for long periods of time. And then they end up in the different situations. It could be all kinds of things like drugs and sex trafficking and violence and fighting and that type of thing, if you don't take them under your wing early and try to be able to rescue them from the street, or give them the resources they need, the tools that they need to help them get from A to B. And if they're asking questions, and you meet someone out on the street that is 18, try your best to speak some good life into them, because we do like to uplift, motivate, and inspire. So if and so you have anything that you can help our 18-year-olds with now, and they find themselves in this situation, I'm sure there's a lot of young people that are homeless right now that may not know which way to go, don't know which way to turn, don't know how to do this, never have lived this type of life. Some of them have cars where they was working and now they've lost their jobs. Cars are being repossessed, so they end up on the street itself. And that's a bad place for them to be when they don't know what to do. They don't know who to turn to. They have nobody to be able to speak life into them. So this is where we come from as a nation, as a group, as a more seasoned group of people. Drop some things in the comments that you would tell the young person that you would meet on the street that is cold, that is hungry, that don't know which way to go. What type of advice would you give them? How would you help rescue them from the street? The rescue for the young people has to be serious. Why? Because you got to catch them while they're young. Catch them while they're out there before they get in the hands of the wrong type of people while they're out there, because those are the ones that they're going to be targeting the most. So look after your young. Don't leave your family out there. If you can help them, if you can help that young man or help that young woman get off the street and give them a safe place to lay their head. I mean, because it's a very dangerous place for them to be, young and out there on the street with nowhere to go, nowhere to change their clothes, nowhere to eat, and then they got to rely on the devil to give them some things. Because y'all know as well as I know, the devil comes to steal, kill, and destroy, and he's out there too, looking for whom he can devour, and he would devour our young men and women up as fast as they possibly can. Those are the targets they be looking for, especially our young women, our young girls. Y'all be careful when y'all see these young girls out there on the street. You see them out there walking, you see them out there tired, and they've been out there forever. Try your best to try to help them if you possibly can, but God knows if you can't help them, don't hurt them. Don't hurt them. And my heart does go out to the young people, because of the fact that I know I was an unruly teen myself. I've been through the trenches of not being able to eat, not having money in my pocket, not being able to shower different places. And when you're young like that and you're out there on the street and you got to get out and you got to figure out where you're going to lay your head and you got to sleep in abandoned buildings and under the bridge and on the corner and this, that, and the other thing. And you're a woman and you got to be able to prepare yourself for what you're about ready to see when you're out there. So young women, and so you're under the sound of my voice, young men, if you're under the sound of my voice, try to get yourself to a safe place. This is no time for you to be out there on the street. This is no time for you to be walking all hours of the night. This is no time for you to be out there turning up, because while you're turning up, the devil's also turning up the heat 7 times hotter, and he knows the streets better than you do. So you're just out there doing whatever you think you know how to do to get your party on, but yet you got to take on some responsibility, because if your parents done put you out there and they're not checking for you and your family's not checking for you, that's a dangerous situation for you to be in, because you could be gone, you could be missing, you could be destroyed for Lord knows how long. You could be screaming in the dark and nobody never know that you're in trouble. So with that being said, I'm going to leave that right there. And I'm going to leave this comment open for y'all to type it in the comments. What would you tell the young person when you meet them in the street? Do you feel that they should be able to apply for food stamps, housing on their own at that age? Is that a vulnerable age? Do you consider that as they say, a good age to put people out just because they turn 18? Or do you feel as though that right now we should be able to help our youth and we should be able to help get our youth off the street? Because at 18 years old, here in the United States, they have always said that you're grown at 18. You're grown, so therefore you're left to your own devices. And if somebody puts you out, you're just out there. I mean, I never agreed with that. I always want to leave the door open for my children to always be able to walk back through it. I don't care how old they are, what walks of life they come from. Those are my children. I love them. I don't care what they done got themselves into. My door will always be open for my children to walk back into. And I thank God that mine got a door that I can walk into. And I pray that they feel the same way about me, to the point where the door is always open for me to walk into. Because that's what family does. And that's what love does. Love bonds, love grows, love doesn't envy, love doesn't boast, love keeps no score of right or wrong. So you got to understand, these 18-year-olds, they're not in a place where they're able to fend for themselves, and they may need some financial help along the way. Would you be willing, ready, and able to help these 18-year-olds along the way? I mean, there's just so many questions. It's different when you're grown and you're out there and you know how to move and you know how to maneuver, and you're older and you be a little bit more safer. But these 18-year-olds that are out there on the street, 18, 20, 22, 23, that I see out here on the street right now, they're in danger of being preyed upon. So with that being said, let's have a conversation. I love y'all. If and so you've not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing to the channel. We like to uplift, motivate, and inspire. And if and so you have not turned your notification bells on, please turn your notification bells on at this time so you will be notified when I drop my next video. Y'all be blessed.